What is going on, everybody? Welcome in. It's the Wager Alarm live stream. I'm Howard Bender. With me, of course, it's Craig Mish. And yes, it's Saturday night, the day after Christmas. And Craig and I, we got our picks to make for the Super Contest. Now, before we get into those, Craig, hi, how are you? How was the holiday weekend for you? I mean, I know that, you and I, we light the menorah.
That's
But
right.
you've got kids, and so I'm sure that there's like some sort of Christmas element there.
Well, I mean, we don't celebrate Christmas. We are Jewish, but yes, it's always a nice time to have time off. I was able to visit my brother today. The kids played baseball, catch in the backyard. They played online. So it was a really nice day. But in the end, what is really the most important thing? And the most important thing today, it could only be one thing,
Happy birthday to
and
you.
it is your
Happy
birthday.
birthday to
It
you.
is your birthday, Howard Bender.
Happy birthday to you.
Howard Bender, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Happy birthday.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I really I don't understand why everybody else is so into the birthdays, but hey, what are you gonna do? Thank
Yeah.
you very much. I
I
appreciate
don't you know what it is that it's sort of at this point, I'll be dead honest with you. I'm like needling you a little. Like
it. Oh,
honestly,
okay.
like if like the fact that I know you appreciate your birthday. We did the nice video for you and everything. All your friends did that too. But it's kind of like the fact that you're like sort of like pushing away from it. I think that's why maybe some people are pushing for it a little bit. Maybe it's that, but I don't know. Regardless of that, you've been a great friend to me for so many years. You deserve all the best and birthday wishes, and I hope you have a great 2021 for sure.
Thank you very much. I hope it's better than 2020 because this whole year has
I
just
would say
been
it's a good shot.
mind-boggling. And I mean, listen, it doesn't even get easier or better. Like here we are, it's week 16. We didn't have a good week last week. This
No.
week we're looking at some really good picks and feeling like maybe we're gonna get some low ownership basically on some of these
Right.
selections that we're making. And just when you think, okay, we've just settled in on our picks, boom, the entire Cleveland wide receiver core goes on the reserve COVID list. And then the question is do you immediately pivot to the New York Jets, who are getting 9.5 points in this? And I think I texted you immediately just saying, I still don't want to take the Jets. So it doesn't get easier, though.
Yeah, I was going to text you on it, but I really didn't feel that we should change anything on it. As a matter of fact, there are very few teams in this spot that I would not make the switch. Cleveland's one of them. They're a running team. I don't know that this is really a huge deal for them. I understand that they're not going to have Landry and Peoples Jones and all that, but I mean they'll put a defensive back at receiver and Hunt will play some at wide receiver, I'm guessing. And
They've got their three tight ends. They've got Austin Hooper, David Njoku, Harrison Bryant.
yeah,
They brought in Marvin Hall a couple of weeks ago when he got released by the Lions. I mean, listen, that's a deep threat. And Kareem Hunt catches passes, lines up in the slot. I don't really see it as being anything too traumatizing to the point where it was like, oh well, they're never going to score on the Jets, are they? Yeah, I don't think so.
yeah. I mean, it's not a look. If you got it at 9.5 or 10, you're not going to get that number anymore. So that's probably fine. Like if you did that, I'm not going to argue with that. But you're participating in a super contest where tomorrow morning we could wake up and I mean, what happens if there's more positive tests? Like we're back down that road of maybe the game doesn't get played tomorrow, maybe it gets played Monday, maybe it gets played Tuesday. I know it'll get played, but are we absolutely certain that 1 o'clock Eastern tomorrow that game's getting played? I'm not absolutely certain on it. I mean, it looks like they'll play it, but 11 o'clock tonight, we'll probably get a Schefter tweet saying they moved the game to 4, right? Like, I mean, that some of this is
Oh, I
probably.
can't wait. I can't wait. I already, I'm like, oh, well, you know what? Somebody should have gotten me some amphetamines for my birthday because I'm going to be up all night dealing with all of this
It
nonsense here.
could
It's
be.
championship week in the fantasy world, and people just going bonkers in the in the in the betting world. I mean, there are tons of people out there who talk about these picks that we make on a regular basis, and they know that the lines are different now because these lines locked on Wednesday night, right? As Yeah, Wednesday night at 5,
Right.
5
Yeah.
Pacific. So, I mean, they're a lot different, but they do track our picks and they do like the breakdown. So why don't we stop talking about other nonsense there? Let's just get to the picks here, Craig.
Yeah. Before we do, by the way, had we made all the
Oh,
picks,
I
like
thought
we
you were going
talked
to say
about,
happy
maybe.
birthday again. I was going to kill you.
Oh wait, no, I'm not gonna do that. Do you want to do it again here?
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Okay. We Thursday the Saints Vikings game, correct lean. Bucks Lions, correct lean. San Francisco Arizona, correct lean. 3 in a row. We should just use all those picks. We were right on all of those. Here's the lesson. What we talked about on Wednesday, I think, is happening. I think it's starting to happen. Um, yes, San Francisco did play well and they are eliminated, but I'm just not in on Arizona. You know what? I think we're going to start to get some big spread blowouts. I do. I think some teams have quit. I know the Vikings did fight a little bit, but their defense, they didn't stop them at all the whole game. The Detroit today was horrible. And so you're going to see a couple of spreads with us this week that's representative of that. I'm not as worried about laying a big number when a team is playing for like zilch at this
Right.
point, like literally, mathematically, physically eliminated. And I understand that players are playing for their jobs and they're playing for teams next year. But the one counter I would make to that, only takes one guy to not give a bleep, right? It only takes one guy to not make a tackle for that guy to run for a touchdown. So don't love normally laying big lines. We did last week and we got burned. I'm not as worried this week or next week.
All right. Let's start off here. We'll go by the card as it's shown here of the Westgate Supercontest. Again, you can go to wageralarm.com. You'll be able to see all of these picks once we post that ticket. Start off the first one. It's an upset that you and I talked about when we first did the show on Wednesday. We talked about it on Sports Grid, and we're here again. It was the first game that I put down when I sent you the email this morning. We got to go with the Broncos, right? I mean,
Yep.
+3 against the Chargers. I feel like this is just – yeah, again, it's that setup that the Chargers always do for us, and they home favorite, boom, go against them. This is one of those games where you watch Drew Lock is going to show up somehow, and it's going to be a tight one, very tight one. I don't care who wins as long as it stays tight.
Yeah, and if it does, you would count on the Chargers making a mistake potentially. You know, Denver is one of the most conservative teams in the NFL. They're always playing for points and not going for it, so that leads to a lot of field goals. I don't know that there's a huge coaching edge for Denver, but there is somewhat of a coaching edge, in my opinion, there. I think Denver's defense is better than the Chargers' defense. And you're right. It's going to come down to the end of the game. There's going to be a couple of minutes left, and we're getting points. That's really what it's going to be. And, maybe some 2-point conversions, things that factor in. But simply put, historically speaking, under Lynn and even prior to that, the Chargers are instant fade as a favorite at home. It's just they don't cover. They've never really had a home field advantage since they left San Diego in this new place in L.A. And even when they were in San Diego, there'd be a lot of games that they were supposed to win and they didn't. But taking the Chargers at a low point, which is what we did last week or whatever, against Atlanta. I mean, that's the thing to do. You always want to take a team at their low point. You're getting value there. But certainly the Chargers don't deserve to be laying any points against any team in the NFL. Even the Jets should be a pick 'em. So just give me the 3 with Denver.
I love it. How bad of a coach does Anthony Lynn have to be when you've basically spent the first 15 weeks on this show ripping Vic Fangio and Pat Shurmur and the coaching staff for the Broncos, for you to turn around here now and say that the Broncos actually might have a little bit of a coaching edge over the Chargers. So I love it. So Broncos +3. We're going to start there. The next one we're going to do, we're going to take a favorite here. We're going to take the Bears, road favorites. It's Jacksonville, and it's everything that you just said, Craig. It's a team with nothing to play for. In a decent sized point spread, they're giving up.
Yeah, and when I look at this game at this point, the line 7.5, it crept down to 7 and went back to 7.5. Look, I don't think the Bears needed any extra motivation, but they got it tonight, right? Like, I mean, they control their own destiny now. And I know that at the beginning of the season, you control your own destiny too. And that's a really fair point to make. And they didn't look at the part, but coaches playing for their job, quarterback playing for his job. Jacksonville is sitting down their best player in Robinson. They went back to Glennon, and picks are coming then with Glennon. I mean, Minshew is a guy that's going to get sacked a lot, but he doesn't make a lot of mistakes. And he's also the kind of guy that just never gives up, man. Like you can get a good backdoor cover with Minshew any day of the week, not with Glennon. So Glennon's first game was good, just like Jake Luton. What happened? We hadn't seen any video on Glennon in 3 years. He hadn't started, and of course, then he did. Now we know. I'm not going to accuse Jacksonville of tanking at this point, but when you don't play your best players, it sort of gives you the indication of what we're thinking here. I know it's kind of hard to stomach laying the points, this many, but I think that I simply would do it with anyone against Jacksonville in Jacksonville. I think that they sniff that first pick, and the message is from upstairs, my guess is, hey, look, put those guys on the field to win. I mean, look, they're human beings. They're going to try. But we may not play all those human beings. Some of them may have to sit this week. So
James Robinson really intent on going out there and having, finishing the season strong. We don't really want that.
No. And kudos to him, man. He had a great year, but he's the reason why they're in all these games.
1,000-yard rusher, 7 touchdowns on the ground. I mean, really, that was absolutely fantastic. I'll give him all the credit in the world. Undrafted free agent coming in here.
Yeah, so it would be an epic. It wouldn't be a shocking epic disappointment if the Bears lost. Like, it wouldn't shock you because they really haven't earned being 7-point favorites over anyone. But I think this is a super good spot. Waking up in Florida tomorrow and going, wow, like we win this, we win the next one, we're in. Like, let's not blow it. So strange things happen in the NFL. I don't think so on this one. Not my favorite pick of the 5, but certainly one that I do like.
All right. Well, maybe the next one's your favorite pick. Another big point spread. We're laying more points. We're laying 10.5 here. Ravens, obviously, with something to play for. The Giants, not mathematically eliminated from the NFC East contention, but Ravens need it more.
Yeah, and the line is now 9.5, so it's gone down for whatever reason there. Look, between the Bears laying a lot and the Ravens laying a lot, is there a chance that we could lose one of these? Sure, but I think we get a split at the very least because these two teams are motivated. Baltimore also supremely motivated, regardless of what happens tonight with Miami and Las Vegas. So I don't think that makes any difference at all. Baltimore still has to win the last 2 games to get in. In the last 3 weeks, how many teams have looked better than the Ravens on both sides? 2, 1, none. They've looked fantastic. Yeah. I don't really know what happened to the Giants. They were, they played very well in the first half, and I know McCoy played, but even defensively they've now struggled a little bit. So I don't see them really containing Jackson. And it does appear that Baltimore did go through a stretch of the season where they decided, look, we're not going to do what we did last year and go 14-2 and have everybody figure us out for the playoffs. It honestly does look like they shut it down a little during the season, which is dangerous because they're going to still have to win the next 2. But provided, Howard, that Jackson's getting 15 carries in games like he has the last few weeks, give me Baltimore.
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, that whole middle stretch also where the team softened up, that is when their COVID outbreak hit also. Games were moved around. But you're right. If you look at the last 3 weeks of what Lamar Jackson has done, I mean, that says it all right there. I mean, he's over 250 yards rushing in those 3. He's got like 4 rushing touchdowns. So, yeah, I like it a lot. Ravens, I know the Giants have been great about covering all year. And, my hope here also is that a lot of people just kind of go with that trend as well in the contest, which puts us on the better side of the pick, hopefully, for what we need if we're going to, end up moving up at all.
Sure.
Here in the Westgate. All right, next game that we're looking at here, another one that we picked out immediately on Wednesday night. That's right, Rams plus 1.5 against the Seahawks. Team has hit absolute rock bottom. You take them the following week. This could be a big one here. I don't think a lot of people are going to trust the Rams in this matchup.
Yeah, I don't think they will. Would you believe, by the way, at this point, the Rams have a better record against the spread than the Seahawks? Nobody would have guessed that. I don't even think that the line is scary. Like, I mean, Seattle is now down to 1. I mean, what does that tell you in this one? There's zero confidence in the way the Seahawks are playing. So Yes, I think you're right. I don't think a lot of people will be on the Rams, but even though we're not getting a ton of value with the points here, I would have loved to get 2 or 3. I just think that I always want to back I can't say the Rams are great, but I want to back a pretty good team when they've hit the bottom,
Yeah.
because you know that they're going to come out against Seattle and play their best game of the season. They may lose still. Look, they could lose by 3, and we'll shrug our shoulders because it just happens in the NFL. You can't predict it, but I would expect the Rams defense to play very well in this game. Seattle struggled offensively now for over a month. And yeah, we're going to take the 1.5. It probably won't come down to that, I would assume, but I do think that there is value in taking a Rams team that was just embarrassed, and I like doing that, and it's worked. It works a lot. I mean, it worked when the Chargers lost 45-0. They came back. Who would have taken them the following week, and they won? So yeah, it's just week to week league.
All right. I love it. So that's the top 4 picks right there. Just to recap it. Broncos +3, Bears -7.5, Ravens -10.5. We're taking the Rams +1.5. Our final pick, we're going back to it. Could be the kiss of death. 60% of the time, it doesn't work anytime. We're going to the Monday Night Dogs. We are taking the New England Patriots. They are getting a touchdown here against the Bills. I mean, if we look at the game, the last time these two teams played, Josh Allen throws for 154 yards and 2 interceptions. Cam Newton rushes for two touchdowns there. So, I mean, are we riding the Bills that high? Are we thinking that the Patriots are suddenly just going to go in the tank and give it up, that they're a 7-point underdog on Monday night? Give me Bill Belichick every time.
Yeah, we backed New England last week. They did not come through. This is a prime time night game. Everyone is watching. Usually players put on their best performance on the Thursday night. Well, not Thursday night, but the Sunday night and Monday night game. Patriots should have beaten Buffalo first time. Cam Newton fumbled in the Bills' red zone. Easily could have won. Easily could have tied and gone to overtime. None of those two things happen. Bills certainly can't afford a loss, but they're not. I mean, would it shock you if this was a close game? It would not shock me, and I think that this is a big overreaction to the way that New England lost last week to Miami. For whatever reason, Miami's just been that team this year that doesn't have the stats, but has the record against the spread. So I'm not quite giving up on New England just yet. I think they show up, and I think that I don't know if I would say that they would win, but I think they got a good chance to cover. And Monday night underdogs, again, this year have been fantastic. Started off slow, but here we are in week 16, and I believe underdogs are 10-6, I think, against the spread on Monday night. So that's great. By the way, Patriots 6-6 against the spread. Bills 9-5 on the season. So something's got to give in this one. Maybe it'll just be a full-on embarrassment for New England. I find that hard to believe. I think they show up and play well Monday night.
All right. Well, that's pick number 5 for us. We'll see what happens. Again, we'll have these picks over at wageralarm.com. You'll be able to check that out. Any games that you're looking at right now, aside from the 5, did you have your number 6 that was sitting there in the holster, waiting to break out? Was it the Eagles -2.5 against the Cowboys? Did you want to take the Steelers, or no? You want to go against the Steelers? That's right.
I don't know. I hate going against Pittsburgh because they've been good to us. I think I like Atlanta plus the points a little bit, plus the 11. It's back to Haskins now, right, for Washington?
I believe it is back to Haskins again.
Yeah, so I would like Carolina, I guess, a little bit there. Nothing really stands out. My stronger leans would have been on the plays that went off already, unfortunately.
Yeah.
San Francisco for sure. And honestly, Tampa Bay and New Orleans. We talked about all those so far. So those would have been the way that I would have gone. That was the worst defensive performance I've seen in an NFL game this year from Minnesota. Point blank. They scored 52 points. They scored on every possession they had, with the exception of Breeze throwing a touchdown and the ball going off Sanders' hands for an interception. That was pathetic. They quit. I want to go against Minnesota next week. Lions, same thing. And the Cardinals, when they get to the play, see, that's the thing, is that now it's drifting away from me where I thought it would be. But like when we come back and do these playoff streams, Arizona's probably, I don't know. Where do you think that let's say hypothetically they get in somehow over the Bears. Let's say the Bears fall over themselves. So they would probably have to go play like Tampa, right? Like something like
Yeah,
that.
well, the number no, they would probably if the Cardinals were to come in there
The last
because
seed. Yeah.
they'll be the last seed. Yeah, that NFC East team will, be the 4 seed here. So Cardinals, if they sneak in, it's New Orleans or Green Bay.
I think they would get killed.
Destroyed.
Yeah, the line will be 7.
Annihilated.
And look, Arizona will score some points probably in that one, but I mean the coaching of that team and by the way, the other thing too, like this is not a new thing. Like they run that clock down to 1 like every time and either call a timeout or false start. And the other thing too is, and I don't understand this about Kyler Murray. Whenever Kyler Murray makes a really nice play, the very next play he's running down the field to like hike the ball quick. Like is he think this is Oklahoma or something? But he only does it then. It's very bizarre. And then they don't hike it. Then they're just standing there. It's just a weird. They'll be okay. I think Kingsbury will get another year, but I would love to see, and it's unfortunate Arians isn't there, but I'd love to see some veteran coach go in there and make some better decisions because they have too much talent to look the way that they do, in my opinion.
All right, I like it. You know what? And the night on that note there.
Okay.
Well, anti-Arizona, anti-Cliff Kingsbury actually.
Yeah, I think he'll be number 1 on the hot seat next year. I mean, my guess.
It's very possible.
Yeah.
All right. Well, again, wageralarm.com for these picks. Big thank you to everybody for tuning in and watching. Hope the first couple of games have been good for you this week. Let's get at it next week. Big thanks to Matt Sells, our producer. For Craig Mish, I'm Howard Bender. We'll catch you next time.